Trev's Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. That's just too sweet. Anyway, continuing on with my bad predictions for your 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. And now we're at the Stanley Cup final. And, well, this is, I can guarantee this is my second to last bad predictions video for this season. I really hope you haven't taken any of my picks to Vegas with you, especially the conference finals, which we will go over before we go over my pick for the Cup final. But let me just say, this is not the Stanley Cup final I had in mind when I started drawing up my bracket. I'm gonna say when I started picking my picks, I thought for sure it was either gonna be Carolina or the Rangers versus the Stars. I didn't think we'd be at the Panthers versus the Oilers, but I digress. Either way, my bracket was way off. But let's get right down to it. So before we talk about this, let's talk about those ones on the side, the how we got here's. And we might as well start here. So game one was the Goalie Bob show, as it should have been. I mean, come on, Goalie Bob's on fire. We all know this. And after game 2 and 3, about really the only times the Rangers actually showed any signs of life, the Panthers just made it look easy from that point on. And it's like I've said in previous videos, they're a chameleon team. They'll let you play their game, they'll copy and paste it, and then you're playing yourself. And Florida took full advantage of the fact that the Rangers superstars just were not scoring. Panarin scored 1 goal. Trocheck didn't score anything. Zibanejad didn't score anything. It was sad. It really was. But again, the Panthers knew how to beat them, and they beat them convincingly. So for a back-to-back year, and the 5th year in a row, someone from the state of Florida is going to the Stanley Cup final. And for the Panthers in their general history, 3rd time's a charm, right? Right. Let's talk about the West. So game 1 should have never went to overtime. Should have never went to double overtime, for that matter. But again, the trend here, game 2, game 3, Dallas looked like they were playing with their food at that point. But games 4 to 6 were sheer and utter collapse by the Dallas Stars. And the fact that they let the special teams take over the game, especially games 5 and 6, the Oilers' special teams just came right to life, and Dallas paid for it. But for the Oilers, this is only the team that they've been saying, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. Probably a lot longer than Toronto. They probably canceled the parade as many times as Toronto has. Trust me, I live here. I hear this daily, so there's that. And I mean, having 4 of the top 5 scorers in playoff points is never a bad thing either. But is it enough? Well, let's go over it. My pick for the Cup final here in just a brief second. So all told, for my predictions to this point, I predicted no conference finals right. I picked one set as far as games played. That was the Florida Rangers series, but overall I'm 10 for 14. So let's see if this last pick does me any justice. I'm not still gonna lie though, this is probably one of my best prediction years as far as the playoffs is concerned. I mean, awards, forget it. But moving on. So I mean, really, I don't know how I want to approach this one. This is just too hard a one to call right now. So let's start off with some random tidbits or useless facts before I give you my bad prediction. Well, for starters, this is the furthest north-south Stanley Cup final in league history, stretching as far as 2,514 miles from Edmonton to Sunrise, Florida. Now that you know, I mean, for reference, that's a 46-hour drive or a 5-hour flight. I'm actually sitting here trying to find how long a walk that would be, but it's probably best I don't. The 2014 NHL draft is being very well represented right here, as picks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all playing in this year's Stanley Cup final. Obviously, it's 3 of them on Florida and Draisaitl in Edmonton. And lastly, or at least the last one I'll give you, I'm sure you might find one that I don't mention, and if you do, that'd be awesome. Corey Perry is playing in his 5th Stanley Cup final with just as many teams. After winning the Cup in 2007 as part of the Anaheim Ducks, he would go on to lose it with Dallas, Montreal, and Tampa in back-to-back years. So, is 5th time a charm for Corey Perry? That'd be interesting. But let's get to the meat and bones of it. So again, your top 5 as far as points is concerned in Edmonton, with Stuart Skinner rocking a 2.50 goals against, an .897 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Now, if Cup experience meant everything, then the Oilers are horribly outmatched from on the bench to the coach. I mean, outside of Adam Henrique and Corey Perry, I can't think of anybody else on the Oilers who has any Stanley Cup experience. Not even Chris Knobloch. And that's where you get the weird St. Louis vibes from. It's like, okay, they changed the coach at the low point in the season when Knobloch came out in November in place of Woodcroft, but is this just, first year magic? Or is it a case of, okay, going from worst to best and going to prove it? Now for the Oilers, they've scored 63 goals these playoffs, and McDavid's been involved in 31 of them. So just shy of half the team output is McDavid alone. So you don't have to worry about him if he's not going to catch fire or not. I mean, the only thing you really have to worry about is if the Oilers get shut out and then McDavid gets no points. Which, I mean, I'm not going to lie, is not an unreal possibility. As a matter of fact, I would hope for at least a shutout in these playoffs, but that's just me. And then there's guys like your Draisaitl, your Hopkins, your Hyman, to a lesser extent, Corey Perry. They're all contributing factors to the team. And the more output you can get, the better, right? The only problem I always have with the Oilers, not just because I live in Edmonton and they just happen to be the hometown, is defense. If the Oilers hope to make any headway in these playoffs, their defense has to be better than what it is. I mean, an .897 for a save percentage with your goalie, and you're supposed to have 3 of the best defensemen in the league, with Nurse and Ekholm. I mean, Bouchard, yeah, he's really coming into his own as an offensive defenseman, but you still kind of expect him to play the point, right? Either way, they have to be able to shut down guys a lot better than what they've been able to do. So let's talk about the Panthers. So there's your top 5 as far as the Panthers are concerned. Definitely not in the top 5 as far as the league is concerned, but that can change. For guys like Matthew Tkachuk and for Sam Bennett, the 2 I can think of the most that should know the Oilers inside and out, being, they played them in the playoffs a couple years ago when it was the Battle of Alberta. They should know how to approach the Oilers, and they should pass this knowledge on to their team, because that would be very handy to know. By extension, Paul Maurice should know how to sweep the Oilers, since he did that when he coached in Winnipeg. But you've also got guys like Barkov and Verhaeghe and Bennett. I mean, they're still on point. I mean, they can still contribute to the team as they have this playoff round. Goalie Bob rocking a 2.20 goals against, with .908 save percentage, and 1 shutout. And really, goalie Bob has this team on his back right now. And as long as they can keep supporting him the way they are, this shouldn't be a problem. Between Ekblad, Forsling, Montour, and to a lesser extent OEL, the Panthers have only managed to let in 39 goals compared to the 63 that they've scored. So it's not that they don't have the offense, they just have better defense. And a .908 for goals against from goalie Bob, it proves that. So as long as Florida can manage to keep the door shut, especially when it comes to the Oilers' Big Four, it shouldn't be an issue. It's also worth noting that outside a few little moves here and there, this is pretty much the same team that went to the Cup last year. So the Panthers have a little bit of experience on how to lose a cup. Maybe this time they'll win it? Here's what I think. The Panthers will win if they can shut down the Oilers' biggest weapons, that being McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nuge, those guys. If they can shut them down and shut the door on them, no issues. If Kachuk, Barkov, and Reinhart, and maybe even Bennett to a lesser extent, can be a solid door while managing all the shots they can take. Meaning, if they can throw out the body as well as continue to make the moves and take the shots, golden. If goalie Bob can keep doing goalie Bob things, keep the team on his back for at least 5 more games, 6 to a lesser extent, then it's all theirs. And if they can just take advantage of the Oilers' defensive openings. I mean, yeah, the Oilers might tout their defense as being tight, but no, there's holes. There's been holes for a very long time. Now, the Oilers will win if everything stays consistent. If McDavid keeps fueling the Oilers' point system the way he is, and the Oilers keep managing to bank goals off the plays he makes, then they're solid on that point. If Florida's top lines can be contained, the Kachucks, the Barkovs, the Reinhardts, those guys, if they can keep those guys to at best 2 goals for the series, then they're laughing. If Stuart Skinner stands on his head or gets better defense, because really, I mean, if this series is all about goaltending, Skinner's going to need a lot more help, or at least better help than what he's got. Or if the special teams continue to click, if they keep taking full advantage of drawing Florida into taking penalties and making them pay for it, then it's all theirs. They'll have Florida tangled in so many different messes. But you want my pick? You really want my bad prediction? Well, here it goes. I'm picking Florida in 5. I know, I picked them last year, and I've been wrong for the last 3 years, but hear me out. It's not out of spite. It really isn't. Ultimately, goaltending will be the key, and goalie Bob, I think, is a better goalie. I think he can out-goaltend Stuart Skinner any day of the week, maybe 3 times on Sunday. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, like I said earlier, if there's a shutout or 2, and I think that shutout or 2 will probably belong to goalie Bob. Now, this isn't the same Florida team it was last year. Like I said, they know how to lose. So I think now they want to win, and if you listen to my prediction, they will. And if you really feel that confident in taking my pick to Vegas, go right ahead. But again, this is a bad prediction, and I'm picking Florida in 5. So if I'm going to get hometown heat for that, bring it on. I'm here for it. It's my pick. Feel free to give me yours. I'd love to hear it. Another one of them Trev's hockey shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you've tuned into this point, and I know you have, because everybody loves my bad predictions. If you want, or if you're still here, give me that like. Let me know you're here. If you want, that red button that says subscribe all over it. If you're not considering it, well, why not? Consider it. Hit it. Trust me, you'll love it. I'll love it. The algorithm will love it. So let's do that up. So up next, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, I have the Conn Smythe prediction video. And a lot more after that, but either way, in the meantime, and in between time, be looking for more videos from Trev. Later.